Welcome guys, this is your friend Naruto Addict 3.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Today's fanfic is titled, What If Naruto Healed Rin's Broken Heart, and Built a Legendary Bond with Hinata and Tsunade? Part 2. Parts of him wanted to resist, but if it would lead to sleep he would do it. Faster than Rin he turned to face her, he could barely make out the sparkle of her eyes in the darkness, like two lone stars in the darkest of nights. There was more room now. Now what? Okay, she repeated, taking a deep breath, her eyes closing for a moment. Now, I think. Another breath. Okay, so, just put your arms around me, okay? What? Naruto nearly shouted, his surprise only dulled by the vast amount of sleep he needed. Shish, it's not like that, there will be more room, and we'll be warmer, but, look, just do it, okay? She sounded desperate and shoved her arms under his, pulling herself closer. I just want to sleep. Thunder clapped and she squeezed tighter, burying her head into his chest. Great, she could probably feel how fast his heart was beating. He could feel hers. But wait, are you afraid of a little thunderstorm? She gave a weak laugh, her grip weakening. No, not. Another flush. Okay, maybe a little. Just trust me, this will help us sleep. Sure. He was not going to object to this. It felt nice, it felt right. How like those soft moments of couple he saw at the park, just doing nothing but being in each other's arms. He wrapped his arms around her, thumbs brushing the bottom of her hair, and let out a breath that he didn't know he was holding. Like this. Yay. He could hear her smile. Thank you, Naruto. She stopped talking after that, her breath became steady and even the thunder stopped having an effect on her. Naruto stayed awake wide-eyed, still trying to process what exactly was happening. He was sharing a bed with Rin. She had asked him to hold on to her like the way couples did in those boring romance movies. What did it mean? Did Rin like him? He liked her. She was prettier and nicer than any of the other girls he had met so far. And she knew his secret. Should he tell her? Would that scare her and put whatever this was in jeopardy? Maybe she already knew. Lightning flashed again and Naruto saw Jiraiya smiling at him, the white of his teeth showing as he gave a thumbs up. Nope, that wasn't a horrifying sight at all. When Jiraiya said boat, she had imagined one of the large and intimidating passenger ships, something with multiple sails that could power through any waves that came their way. She had never been so glad to be wrong. The small boat Jiraiya was sailing skipped across the ocean, practically flying as it left the sea after it sped through each of the rolling waves. A thrill of excitement washed over her when they slipped through two rocky pillars that shot out of the ocean like blackened fingers reaching for the sky, and she let out a shout, laughing as they got more than the usual amount of air. Woohoo! Next to her, Naruto held on for dear life, laughing with every single jump. Glad you brats are enjoying this. Jiraiya gritted his teeth, pulling on the full sail behind them hard, causing them to bank around another rock pillar as he jerked the rudder hard to the right. He looked stressed, with his teeth being grit and his hands white-knuckled. The turbulent waters gave way to clear waters filled with color and life. A rainbow of coral reefs stretched out around the seafloor, only broken by deep chasms that held a blackness so deep the sun itself could get lost within. Schools of fish darted about frantically searching for new food, or evading predators before they became food. A turtle, that was longer than their boat, drifted directly below them, its shell covered in scars from numerous hard-fought battles and decorated with a million tribal markings and symbols. That was a creature that had seen more in its life than all but the eldest of beasts. Its head turned slowly to look up at them, its massive eyes sparkled like the night sky even under the water, and she thought she saw the slightest bit of a smile tug at its wrinkled mouth. With the slightest movement of its flippers the beast darted off with speed that defied its age, vanishing past the horizon. In the center of the tranquility sat a broken egg shell of mountains, their edges dulled by time, weather, and the foliage that clung to every jagged edge like a verdant blanket. Dolphins swam up beside their boat, bobbing and eking out of the water so close Rin could reach out and touch them. Which she did. They were rough, and drier than she thought they'd be. Is that where we're going? Naruto's voice boomed now that the roaring waves were behind them, only the splashing of the dolphins, howl of the wind, fluttering of the sail and creaking of the boat could put up a fight against it. And they all failed to meet the challenge. Yep. This is a bit of a detour. Jiraiya turned sharply. An island of coral that kissed the surface barred their path. As they drew closer to the island, the white coral sand beneath the sea began to change in gradient. First as a dull gray, then a black, until they reached the shore that was stained by a black so rich any other color glittered like a star. And where is here? Rin finally found her voice again. They turned parallel to the shore, where utter blackness met verdant green at a horizon in the middle of their vision. This island was a sacred place to many people. It was here that the 7 swords of the mists were crafted. It was here that the first summoning contract was made. It was here that the Uzumaki first sealed a tailed beast, and here where the Mizukage learned to control the Sanbi. So we're here for me? Rin asked, tearing her eyes off of the tree line just long enough to see Jiraiya nod, then back to Naruto. He was smiling like nothing was wrong. What about Naruto? Is his training? Naruto's training is a priority, but he's not going to die if he can't control the Kyuubi. Jiraiya paused, scratching his chin. Well, at least not as soon. What's that supposed to mean? Naruto's face turned white, and Jiraiya chose to ignore him. This island will benefit you both. I didn't want to come here because of. He grunted, turning the ship down a river. Wait. No, it was a channel. The sea water was flowing into the heart of the island. How tricky it is to get here. I really hate boats. I hate the ocean. The risk just wasn't worth the benefit. Really? What kind of awesome training are we going to do here? Meditation. Boo. When the sound of water grew to a roar, they finally stopped to moor the boat at what was once a stone dock, now choked by roots. A tree as tall as the ones near Konoha grew out of the remnants of a hut made of stone brick. At the center of the island, where the peaks cracked the sky like the night sky forgotten in time, was a whirlpool that spun unceasingly around a stone that glowed with the brilliance of the heavens. Where does the water go? Rin asked, her voice carrying easily over the roaring water that surrounded them, almost like it was polite enough to step aside and allow silence a chance within its domain. Oh, a sing-song voice drifted in with the current. It comes and goes, that's simply the way that the water flows. Hey, who's there? Naruto shouted, taking up a defensive position. Rin looked around. There was no one except for them, the trees, and the water. The stone wasn't talking to them, was it? She looked towards Jiraiya, who, aside from shrugging in her general direction, made no move. There was a splash from one of the rivers that fed into center. It was almost like the water was laughing. Then a great beast burst forth from the water. It was the turtle she had seen when they first entered. It flew through the air as easily as it swam through water. With wide graceful turns, it banked against the black stone like a comet streaking across the sky. It came to a stop directly in front of them, a smile on its ancient face and eyes filled with motherly love. Hanging from its neck was a pendant, the color long lost, but the spiral engraved in the stone still remained. Greetings, my wayward children, I am Nahuatl, caretaker of the island. It has been many years since I last had a visitor. Tell me what brings you to my home. Rin opened her mouth, but all that came out was air. Was this a trick of some kind? Did she fall asleep again and this was another dream with the Sanbi? Finally she looked at Jiraiya, who seemed to be way too okay with this. Why is there a talking turtle? Don't look at me, I summon talking toads. Jiraiya scratched his chin. This is basically just Thursday for me. Ah, I see you bear the mark of Gamamaru. How is my old friend? Nahuatl said, but her mouth did not move from the warm smile she was giving them. It has been many moons since I last heard from him. Well, considering how he's blind, he probably can't write you anymore. Oh my. Her smile twisted upward, eyes sparking with a youthful appearance once again. A low chuckle like tide pools at low tide came from the beast. A seer that can no longer see, that is amusing. Jiraiya gave a great laugh, hands on his hips. Can't hear too good either. This had dream written all over it. Just to be sure, Rin pinched herself hard. Nope. This was real. There was a giant flying turtle talking to Jiraiya. Sure, she had seen Gamabunta once, when Minato-sensei had summoned him. But that was a summon animal, they were allowed to talk. Hey turtle lady, Naruto shouted, his eyes twinkling with delight. Are you a summon boss like Gamabunta is? Nahuatl swung her head towards Naruto, her giant star-filled eye nearly swallowing him whole. Well, I'll be, if it isn't a little Uzumaki. I should have figured your kind would be too stubborn to fade away. Oh, what's this? I see the Kyuubi still rages within you. How do you know that? Rin asked, drawing Nahuatl's attention towards her. It was like staring into the night sky. She chuckled like a summer rain. Well, my little time traveler, while my Toadly friend has the ability to see the future, it is clouded and muddied. I can see things as they are with the clarity of the cloudless sky. There was a pause as Nahuatl considered her. And you are here to commune with the Sanbi. You fear the death it brings. A soft chuckle like waves kissing the shore rumbled from the turtle's massive frame. Worry not, child, the Sanbi once lived on this island when it was young. It shares a connection with this place. Did you know him? Rin asked. It felt like she was staring at the night sky. Then the turtle blinked and she was brought back to reality. In some ways yes, in others no. Nahuatl said, bobbing her head to one side and then the other. She spun slowly, pointing towards the rock that sat in the middle. Now, child, go to the center and try to connect with the Sanbi. But do not fear. Because he gets stronger. Naruto jumped up towards Nahuatl. He took the words right out of her mouth. A monster that could eat her dreams and gave her nightmares. Nahuatl chuckled like a babbling creek. Oh no, child, the Sanbi is. Well, he is a coward and frightens easily. What? Rin spoke as much as she thought. Part of her felt offended by that statement. Just as the Kyuubi is prideful and the Sanbi cowardly, all beasts have their faults. Now time grows short, the sun will set soon. Rin nodded, taking a few steps forward, bracing herself for the task of walking inside a whirlpool, before she would have thought it possible back when she had her chakra control. But now, even with Jiraiya's training, such a feat felt beyond her. She stepped, nearly slipping as she met a resistance that shouldn't be there. The water was flowing, yet solid, almost as though it stopped beneath her feet just long enough to hold her up before continuing on its way. Step by step she approached the center of the whirlpool. When she stood in front of the rock, Rin let out a sigh, crossing her legs. Her hand reached out towards it, feeling the heat it gave off. Well, here goes nothing. Hello. His voice echoed through the dull gray mists that choked him like damp cigarette smoke. Everything had been swallowed by it once Rin had touched that rock. Not even the sun was safe, becoming little more than a slightly bright area in the sky. Earthward the mist was so thick that he could barely see his feet, and the ground had been replaced by a shimmering reflection of water too shallow to get the top of his feet wet. Each step sounded like his leaky shower head back home that would drip well into the night unless he turned the water off. Hello. His voice echoed back around to him, or did he ask it again? This place was like a labyrinth without walls. Please. It echoed 1,000 times. Is anyone there? Jiraiya. Rin. Turtle lady. He didn't want to be alone again. You should be used to it. A voice cut through the mist like a knife of ice. Cold, sharp, precise. After all, who would want to be around a demon like you? When even your own parents didn't want you. Naruto spun, searching for the voice, more desperately than he had searched for anything his entire life. He knew this voice. He knew it well. It was the voice of her, that woman he so desperately wanted in his life. Mom. She stepped from the mist, her form and colors unaffected by its thickness even as it clung to her. She had short blonde hair that looked like she had tried to tame it a few times but ultimately gave up. Her face was sharp and her blue eyes gave off a blistering heat that stripped him of any hope. Her scowl, though, was worse. It was the same face those villages had given him, a face he never wanted to see again. But there was nothing he could do but grit his teeth and bear with it. You don't deserve to call me that, you filth. Her words burned like acid, wearing down the very fabric of who he was. Before he could open his mouth, she smacked him across the face. Did you forget that I left you there? Abandoned you because you're nothing more than a demon? Or maybe I even died because of you. I was too weak after birthing such an ungrateful little shit that I died. You don't even know, do you? Because you're too afraid to ask. You're afraid of the truth, aren't you? The word turned into a gasp for air. Her hand was pressed against his throat, his legs dangling above the ground. She squeezed, her cold eyes showed nothing but indifference to him. I've been alive the whole time, watching you grow up without you ever knowing it, seeing you on the streets only making me happy that I choose to abandon you. Happy that you became that demon. Because who in their right mind would ever want to have a son as wretched and horrible as you? Naruto grabbed at her hand, tears in his eyes. Everything she said was true. He was nothing more than trash. I'm sorry, he choked. I'm so sorry. You're going to die how you were brought into this world, she hissed. All alone, with everyone hating you. Just like they do now, they don't care for you. You're nothing more than a. Enough. The voice was calm and warm like a ray of sunshine breaking through the clouds. It soothed him just as much as it burned his mother. A chain came from the ground, stabbing into the skull of the blonde woman. Naruto fell to his knees. He still couldn't breathe. He could still feel his mother's hand around his throat. And then she appeared with hair like fire, pushing the mists aside to lean down beside him. She frowned, but it is not filled with hatred, it was warm and soft. A look that filled him with hope. She was beautiful as she leaned down in front of him, purple eyes filled with tears. Her arms shook as she touched his shoulder, then stopped when she wrapped him in a firm hug. Naruto, we loved you more than anything in the world. Please, don't ever forget that. Just as she had appeared in front of him, she vanished, just as quickly as she appeared. The mist faded away, revealing the swirling whirlpool bathed in starlight with Rin still sitting in the middle. We love you. Her voice lingered like honey in his ears. Jiraiya sat against a tree, a mist the color of dish soap poured into a shallow bowl, swirling with blues, greens, pinks and purples. Naruto went towards him, his hand moving towards the mist. I would not touch him so soon after you have broken free. Nahuatl's voice brought with it the sound of the forest, more alive at night than it ever had been during the day. He spun to see the turtle laying on the ground, her great body acting like a rocky knoll. A gentle smile on her aging face, her large eyes seemed to mirror the stars behind them. That is the Sanbi's mist. When he is frightened, it brings out the worst fears of those who touch it, making them real. Naruto pulled his hand away, clutching it towards his heart. I thought I saw my mother. She choked me, saying that I killed her, that she was glad she abandoned me. The turtle chuckled like the babbling of a brook. It also makes people more honest afterwards. For a time, but fear not, little Uzumaki, it was only an illusion, though I am surprised by how quickly you awoke from it. There was another lady that showed up. She stopped my mother and said that she loved me. If he touched the mist again, would he get to see the red-haired lady again? Who was she? Why did it feel like she was important? Amusement ran through her tone like a river through the mountain. I wonder, who do you think she? Shouldn't you know? Don't you like see things with your eyes? Some truths are best discovered on their own. She turned to look up to the sky. Now, who do you want the red-haired woman to be? Naruto clutched at his heart, feeling the way it beat against his chest. I want her to be my mother. Nahuatl's smile widened. Then hold on to that as your truth. He matched her smile and looked up towards the sky. You know, you're a lot less annoying than all the other talking animals I've met. And you are a lot less annoying than many of the other humans I've met. You and the object of your affection. Nahuatl's smile turned wry and a massive eye winked at him. Can you tell me what she? He found himself face to face with a giant turtle's face, hot air billowing out from her nose. Don't ask me what you would not ask others, Naruto. Naruto nodded, shaking his head and taking a step back, nearly falling back down over Jiraiya's sandal. Should we wake him up? No, seeing his fears will do him more good than harm. Nahuatl looked out towards the whirlpool where Rin sat. Though I believe you may not have to wait much longer. Do you know where I can find some seashells around here? Sanbi, Rin asked. Her words echoed like ripples in a still pond. The shells that made up the beach of the Sanbi's domain, or was it her heart? Her dreams? Her mind? It didn't really matter. It was nice here and easy to get lost as the waves lapped against the shore. The stars and sun glistened in a dull light that left not a single shadow here. It was safe, warm, and beautiful. But the Sanbi was nowhere to be found. She had circled the island, her feet drifting in its shallow waters, at least 5 times now. It was hard to complain about being here, but she had a mission to do. She couldn't just stay here forever. Why not? That was her own voice. Scared and frightened, but still hers. Rin spun on her heel. To find a younger version of herself with a friendly smile on her face, but there was nothing behind her eyes. Why can't we just stay here? Haven't we suffered enough? Can't we stop fighting for once? Who are you? Rin asked the girl. You know who I am. The girl tilted her head to the side. Or do you not want to know? She knew. You're that part of me that wants to stop trying, aren't you? The girl clapped her hands, striking a balance between overeager and sarcastically slow. You got it. We should just give up. We don't belong in this time, do we? There's nothing out there for us but pain. Let's stay in here. She reached down, pulling up a handful of seashells. See, we can find all the pretty ones and play games all day. The temptation was there. The thought of a life of peace with no more wars struck a chord in her heart. She brought a hand up to her heart, finding the necklace that Naruto had made for her. She squeezed the blue shell, feeling its warmth. Obito, Kakashi, Guy, Jiraiya, and Naruto, all of them were waiting on her. She couldn't just ignore them. Living a life of peace while others fought for her went against everything. No, her word was little more than a whisper, but had the strength of steel behind it. I can't just sit still and do nothing. You know that. I want to be useful. But you can't. The girl screamed. You can't save anybody. You're too young, you haven't trained enough. You can't even do the one thing you were good at anymore. So what's the point? I'll learn. She ran a finger over the shell. Just because I can't do anything right now doesn't mean I won't be able to do something later. I need to keep moving forward. The girl gave a scream, hands tightened into fists and charged at Rin. She prepared to catch herself, but the girl faded away into dust, her attack having no follow-through. When she next opened her eyes, Rin saw the Sanbi in front of her. Its one eye holding a whirlpool of emotions, its massive head level with her. It gave a long sigh that smelled like the sea on a warm beach. For what felt like ages they stared at each other, a silence divided them like a river. I've been looking for you. Rin gave the creature a smile, pushing the hair out of her face. The Sanbi nodded. I know. You're very loud. Then, Rin sighed, getting angry at him wouldn't do anything. I wanted to talk to you about helping me. You want me to fight? The beast shook its head, its voice sounding like a child about to break out into a tantrum. I do not want to fight. Nahuatl, the Sanbi perked up at the name, its one eye widened in surprise. Said that you're afraid. I know what it's like to be afraid. There's been times where I've been so afraid I didn't know what to do. But, thanks to my friends, I find the courage to keep moving forward. You spoke to Nana. Rin smiled, stepping towards the beast, a hand outstretched. She's the one that told me to meditate in the center of the whirlpool. Ah. The Sanbi tilted his head to the side, confusion is easy to read on his face. You didn't need to go there. I didn't. Seal is weak. I know, and I know you don't want to fight. Rin clutched her necklace once more, drawing on Naruto's strength. I don't want to fight either. But there are people after us, and I'll have to fight them. I can't die yet. I have dreams I need to see through. Dreams. Tasty dreams. The Sanbi licked its lips like she was holding a treat just out of reach. Can you share them? Kind of, but don't eat them, okay? She placed a hand onto the Sanbi's head. He was smoother than she'd thought he'd be. I want to live my life in peace, to be able to help my friends again. Well, actually, I want to help as many people as I can. That's a tasty dream. But you might have to fight a lot. He nuzzled into her hand like a cat. What a weird turtle cat rock monster. I don't want to fight. I'll fight for you, Sanbi. The words flew out of her mouth, bringing with them a smile. It felt good to say that. The Sabi gave a noise that was as much rockslide as it was a purr. Isobu. Sorry. Isobu is my name. If I don't have to fight, then I can help you fight Rin. That was the first time she had heard Isobu say her name. He said it in much the same way she imagined a little brother would. Full of admiration and respect. Was this really a centuries-old beast that had caused countless deaths? Thank you. For what? Rin smiled, hugging him around the neck. She could feel the connection between her and this creature. It was little more than a springtime brook, ready to overflow with heavy rains or dry up during a drought. I should be thanking you for helping me. For asking. The others before you didn't ask. They made me. Isobu bounced backwards with a grace that belied his massive bulk. But now I have you, Rin. And you asked me to help you. So I will. That's what friends do, right? She couldn't help but laugh. This was the creature that those mist ninja wanted to destroy Konoha. He was a Biju. She needed to remind herself of that. Even if he acted more like a little kid or a puppy than a city-destroying beast. Yay. That's part of it. And don't worry, Isobu, I won't make you do anything you don't want to. And I'll even come visit you again. Please don't. Rin awoke with a gasp. The roaring of the whirlpool slamming into her all at once, a thick mist blanketed the land, choking out the excess color. Everything was the same, but it felt so very different. She could feel the mist. It wasn't like with a hand or any part of her body, she felt it like she felt a headache, but without the pain. She held out her hand, moving it to get a better feel for the mist. Okay, Rin, you can do this. Just concentrate on the mist. Try to move it. When she felt like she had a hold of something, she twisted her hand. It was like a switch was flipped. One moment the mist was there, the next it flew towards her, flowing back into her body like a giant breath of fresh air after nearly drowning. Her lungs burned as the beast's chakra filtered back into her body, infusing her with strength. Hey Rin! Naruto shouted from the shore, running towards her, arms flailing, not even blinking as he stepped onto the moving water of the whirlpool like it was concrete. Did you do it? His smile and laugh proved to be infectious. Yay! I did. That's great, Rin. I knew you could do it. Naruto came to a stop by crashing into the black rock beside her. What was he like? Did you kick his butt? Haha. No, Naruto, I just talked to him. And he agreed to help me. He offered her a hand to help her up. She accepted it, standing beside him. Really? That's it? Yay. Well, that, and I had to promise to leave him alone unless it was really important. Nahuatl swooped in around them, banking with the grace of a bird. Her flip skipped the whirlpool, splashing them. That is part of Isobu's nature. Do visit him from time to time, thought, while he may prefer isolation, there is no creature that can endure it. I will, and thank you for all your help, Nahuatl. She gave the ancient creature a deep bow at the waist. One Nahuatl returned with a deep nod. It was my pleasure, child. You lot were far more interesting than the normal rift raft that come to these shores. Nahuatl said. But I do have one question. Rin asked. Oh. There was a wry amusement in Nahuatl's tone that was led by a smirk. And what might that be? Isobu said that I didn't need to meditate here to contact him, so why not just say that? She placed a hand on the blackened rock, feeling the heat that came from inside it. Well, you'd be quite disappointed if you came all this way for nothing. Would you not? Wait, Naruto shouted, jumping up onto the rock. You mean we came here for no reason? Rin laughed. Look at it this way, Naruto, it's not the destination, but the journey that's important. I bet you learned some stuff here too. Naruto pouted, before it slowly turned into a smile. Yay, I guess you're right, but we probably shouldn't tell the pervy sage any of this. We're leaving, Jiraiya grumbled the moment he got up. The jovial man was replaced once more by a dedicated ninja that few could equal. His eyes were hard and focused. It was almost unnerving to see him like this. Hey pervy sage, Naruto called, bouncing up next to his sensei. What did you see in the nightmare mist stuff? Tsunade's shrunk. Jiraiya mumbled, making a beeline for the boat. Other things too, but those aren't important. He kicked the boat back onto the water like it was made of paper. He jumped onto the boat, unfurling the sails and preparing it for voyage. Get on, we have a lot of training to do. Jiraiya. Rin asked, stepping forward, is everything okay? No, Jiraiya shook his head. Wasted too much time. I'll make up for it though. Rin turned to look at Naruto, who could do nothing but shrug. Just what had Jiraiya's nightmares been? Go children, Nahuatl nudged them with one of her flippers. Your teacher will tell you in time what bothers him. She heard something about toads being better from Jiraiya. Will we ever see you again, Nana? Naruto asked, smiling up at the turtle. That, my dear children, is up to you. The sail was full of wind all the way out of the serene island. And they left behind that majestic place all too fast for Rin's taste. She would have loved to stay there forever, or at least a few days, just to relax. But that would go against who she was trying to be. A smile tugged onto Rin's lips as she looked at Naruto. He really was something else, no matter what he didn't give up. To him tomorrow could always be better. And he was right. All right, brats. Jiraiya groaned once they were out of the maze of jagged rocks that separated that island from the rest of the world. Looking back, Rin couldn't so much as see a hint of that wonderful place. Jiraiya unrolled a map pointing at the coastline. We're going to head to Port Ikomu. Once there I'm going to drink and whore for one night, and that's it. No more until we get back to Konoha, and neither of you are my problem. After that I'm going to make you wish that I was still drinking and whoring myself into an early grave. Does this have anything to do with your, Rin began. Yes. Jiraiya finished. I lived my life filled with failure. That's all I've ever been, is live and fail. But, he let out a growl, his leg twitching. That dream showed me what not trying would do. So I'm going to train you long and hard, got that, brats? Alright, Naruto cheered. You're finally going to take this serious. I've always taken it serious, Jiraiya glared at Naruto. From the first day I met you I've been treating your training like it was my last mission. I've been trying hard to bring out your potential, Naruto. To build your base and fill in the gaps that you lack. I can't be the one to decide what kind of ninja you can be. That's on you and you alone. All I can do is help you along the way. So what are you going to be doing differently? Rin asked. You said it yourself, teaching Naruto new jutsu wouldn't help. A sentiment she now agreed with. There was a beauty to the versatility of Naruto's two jutsu. Shame she didn't have anything like that. Jiraiya gave them both a cold smile full of satisfaction. You two are gonna eat, breathe, and shit chakra theory. You mean you're going to make us study? Naruto whined. Moonlight reflected off placid ocean. Low waves made the images of stars dance along its surface like 1,000 fairies in revelry. Migrant clouds moved as a herd of whales making their annual rounds, consuming the stars like they were plankton. The summer air was cool this far at sea, feeling more like fall than the middle of summer. Still, all these were dulled to Naruto as Rin sat across from him. She leaned over the side of the boat, stretching her arm to touch the water, her brown eyes absorbing the moonlight and somehow making it all the more beautiful. His chest felt funny whenever he looked at her, tightening up and beating faster and faster. It was worse when she looked at him, then his ears burned. What the heck was he supposed to do? With Sakura it was easy, he liked her so he asked her out. With Rin it was different. He didn't just like her, there was so much more to it than that, but it was still kind of the same. What if he scared her? What if she didn't feel the same way? What if she did? Hey Naruto, Rin moved back into the nest of blankets she had made for herself between two of the benches near the front of the boat. Naruto had his own in a joint agreement to look at the stars. So far he had yet to look up. She smiled when she saw him looking at her. I wanted to ask you about something, Nahuatl said. Crap. Stupid big-mouthed turtle lady. She told Rin, didn't she? Even after all that, not going to interfere crap. He's never going to trust another turtle again. It's not what you think, Rin, I just What's not what I think? Her brow furrowed in confusion. I just wanted to ask if you knew what she meant when she called you an Uzumaki. Oh, so it wasn't about his giant crush on her. That was good. Probably. Maybe. What about it? Well, I used to know an Uzumaki. Her name was Kushina and she was actually kind of like you. She rubbed the back of her head. The softness of her smile reminded him of so many others when they remembered the past, especially Jiraiya or the old man. It was kind weird seeing it on Rin's face. I didn't know being an Uzumaki was a thing. I just thought that I was Naruto Uzumaki, and that was all that mattered. That and history and stuff was so boring. He didn't need to know about who pissed off who hundreds of years ago to become the Hokage. The Hokage cared about the future, not the past. But who was Kushina? What was she like? Another Uzumaki. It was only because of that turtle lady that he had any idea that being an Uzumaki was a thing. Maybe there was more of them. He might have actually paid attention in class if someone had told him about them. Especially if it was a cute girl like Rin. Well, Rin shook her head laughing. Like I said, she was a lot like you. Loud, always trying to smile, and a really nice person. She even tried to adopt me a few times. Went so far as to get the paperwork for it. She was also a great ninja. She was the one that taught Minato-sensei seals, and could fight with these chakra chains. Chakra chains. Yay. It was a really cool ability. She could make chains sprout out of her body. She didn't like to use them because they poked holes in her clothes, but one time she had Kakashi and Obito tied up while she lectured them on not overdoing it. Rin gave a sigh, sinking further down into her nest, eyes focused up on the stars. She yelled a lot at them, but that was just how she showed she cared. At least that's what Minato-sensei said. Chakra chains. Wasn't there a chain in that weird dream he had on the island? What? His throat felt dry. What did she look like? Most people knew her by her really long red hair. That woman. The one that saved him in his nightmare. He swallowed, remembering her face as easily as he remembered the way to Ichiraku ramen. It was round, full of life, and so kind, with purple eyes. Did she have purple eyes? Huh? Rin asked, shaken from whatever story she had been telling. Yay, she did. How'd you know? Do you have a picture of her or something? Naruto, he leaned forward, walking on his knees to close the distance between him and Rin. His hands were shaking, and he felt like he could faint at any moment now. I don't think I do, but why? Rin leaned back away from him the slightest bit. Was he really that intense? Man, Naruto fell back into his nest with the force of disappointment, causing the boat to rock ever so slightly. I just feel like I need to see her is all. I see. Rin touched her finger to her lip, wearing it like a mustache. I might be able to use my mist. The mist. Like what happened when you went to talk to the Sanbi? Naruto asked, sitting up once more to look at Rin. Don't those cause nightmares? I don't know, but I should be able to control them. I might be able to show you a memory of Kushina. She shrugged, holding up her hand. Within moments a spiraling ball much like the Rasengan sat in her hand, made completely of mist. But it's worth a try, don't you think? Naruto stared at the orb of mist. Even in the moonlight it was filled with greens, purples, and every color in between. Would he see her in there again? That red-haired lady that saved him? He nodded. Yay. Okay. Hold still, and sorry if anything weird happens. I haven't actually tried to use this yet. Rin took in a breath and puffed out her cheeks. She let it out in a slow stream, blowing on the mist, it in the air, drifting towards him like a column of smoke. Just remain calm and breath. The mist swirled around him, invading his senses like it was a head cold. You're just so cute. It was her voice. That woman who saved him. The one he wanted to be his mother. You are such a good girl, Rin, Yano. She pulled away from a hug, and Naruto saw her. The woman that had saved him. Kushina Uzumaki. She was real. He didn't make her up. She had his last name. Naruto. The illusion faded and Naruto saw Rin looking at him. A hand rested on his shoulder. Tears were falling down his face. Are you okay? I'm sorry, I shouldn't have tried to do that without more practice. It's her. Naruto muttered, staring up at Rin, his mouth twitching into a smile. I think that Kushina is my mom. No way. Rin froze, her mouth dropping open. She blinked once, twice, then fell back into her spot. I can't believe it. Her lip twitched upwards into smile as the first hiccups of laughter began to bubble out. I can't believe I didn't see it. She squealed, kicking her legs and face glowing red from laughter and sheer delight. It was enough to drag him into it as well. Do you know what this means? Rin bounced back, leaning onto the bench that separated them, resting her elbows on it while her arms supported her head. He could see her smile from a mile away. That my mom was really pretty. No, Rin shouted, then frowned. Well, yes, but that's not the point. She held up a single finger in front of him. Miss Kushina only had one boyfriend in her entire life, and they loved each other more than anybody I've ever seen. Naruto, your father. He leaned in close, finding himself smiling. This was it, he was finally going to know where he came from. Was my sensei, Minato, the fourth Hokage. The humor in him died. The excitement was replaced with something that wasn't good. It made his stomach roil and his fists clench. Why? Huh. Rin's smile didn't stop. Why what? If I'm his son, then why did he put the Kyuubi into me? Wasn't it bad enough that my parents had to die too, but then he went and sealed the stupid fox into me? Fresh tears joined the ones he spilled for seeing his mother for the first time. Naruto. Rin's voice was as soft and soothing as ever, breaking him out of his spell long enough to look at her. She touched his cheek, holding his gaze. You're looking at it the wrong way. Do you remember what I asked you if you hated Minato for sealing the fox inside of you? I know it now more than ever. Minato-sensei chose you because he believed in you. They both did. She was so pretty, so nice, and so important. Already he could feel her soothing him, and he took deep, even breaths that heralded the return of his smile. I guess it is pretty awesome that he's my dad, I guess. There you go. Rin stayed next to him, reaching down to grab his hand and squeezing it tight. I know it sucks, and I'm sure if they were alive they would have been awesome parents. I actually don't know what I'm saying here, sorry. Naruto shook his hand, feeling the heat rush to his cheeks. Rin's hand was so soft and smooth, it was just so fun to touch. No, I think I get what you're trying to say. There's a lot that happened that I'm not happy with, but Naruto paused, swallowing hard. What was he going to say? That he was happy all those horrible events happened so that she could be here with him. That kind of sounded bad, even if it might be true. If it helps, you can think of having the Kyuubi sealed inside of you like it's an S-rank mission given to you by the fourth Hokage. That got him to laugh. Thank you, Rin, for everything. I should be the one to thank you. She let his hand go, sliding back into her spot, brown eyes still locked onto him. If it was for you, I'd probably be dead or trying to kill myself before Isobu could hurt anybody. But because of you, I'm still alive and I feel like I can make a difference. You really are an amazing person, Naruto. His cheeks felt hot, really hot. You're the amazing one, Rin. You managed to get the three tails under you. Control. Control is a relative term. He mostly just wanted me to leave him alone and keep him safe. She held up a hand, conjuring another ball of mist. I think I got it easy with Isobu. The Kyuubi sounds like he'd be stubborn. Do you have any advice? Have you tried asking his name? You're pathetic. Obito groaned, peeking out from under his covers to see what magical bullshit entered his own private realm of existence. Ever since he had seen Rin, all of his deeds had been brought to light, all those deaths were on him. So much. He had wanted to bring the world to peace for Rin. Now he was steps away from bringing it to ruin. Plus she had the three-tailed beast sealed inside of her. A key he would have needed to bring about the world peace Madara preached. Bah! What a load of shit. With Rin here, that peace was nothing more than a lie. The sheets were ripped from his bed and he saw the intruder. Itachi. He groaned, sitting up to glare at his. What was Itachi to him again? Cohort. Companion. Nothing. Clanmate. How did you get here? Itachi matched his glare in a rare display of pure rage. But even that was contained like a storm in a bottle, ready to be unleashed at any moment. One girl says your name and you break. It's none of your business. Obito stood looking over the barren landscape of his realm. He had come here to be alone, where he couldn't mess up anything ever again. Rin was alive and happy. He couldn't risk that a second time. Leave, now. Why did we kill our clan, Obito? Itachi practically spat his name. Because we're idiots. He rummaged through one of the boxes of food he stole, pulling out a simple ration bar. Itachi smacked it out of his hand before he could take a bite. Every Uchiha is, you, me, your brother, Madara, especially Madara. We're nothing but a bunch of idiots that try their hardest to stand in the way of making the world happy. Look back on it. Honestly, the world would be better off without the Uchiha. Did we kill them all because of some girl? The bottle was breaking. Technically, I did. Obito shrugged, grabbing another bar. He was past the point of caring. All he wanted to do was sleep until he died here, alone like the monster he was. You killed them because Danzo was inciting them to rebel, all to sat his need for power and weird obsession with the Sharingan. Have you ever thought about it? Like, what the hell is so great about these stupid eyes? Sure, you can copy a few jutsu and do some magic eyeball shit. He took a bite of his bar, chewing in Itachi's general direction. Face it. The world is a better place without us. Itachi continued to glare at him, nearly shaking with rage. His Sharingan wasn't activated yet, but that could change in a heartbeat. He wouldn't try to stop him if Itachi wanted to kill him. There was no point in it. Rin probably hated him right now anyways. Kakashi for sure, but Kakashi was a prick. Besides, isn't that basically why you killed your whole clan? To stop them from making Konoha worse. Itachi grabbed him by his throat, lifting him off the ground, Sharingan activated. Don't you? What? Make you realize that you were manipulated into killing everybody that you loved? That I was foolish enough to believe some dying old idiot that caused two of the worst wars in history that he wanted true peace. That forcing everyone into a dream was the same as peace. That's just genocide. But hey, it's the family business. Itachi let him fall, the storm vanishing without a fuss. Face it, Itachi, we were wrong. So, what do we do? Obito shrugged, sitting back down on his bed. Wait to die. I've been doing that for 8 years. Then try something else, just leave me alone. Port was such an unusual way to describe places. The last town she was in was a port, it was barely big enough to be called a city. To have such a small and quiet place as that share a descriptor with the grandeur before her simply felt like it did not do the word justice. Port Ikomu was massive. All of Konoha could fit inside the city, perhaps twice over. It sprawled over hills with streets that twisted like snakes, hungry to feast on the lifeblood that the harbor brought. The city seemed to be alive with color, even now, with the sky turning orange behind them as the sun prepared to set on the ocean. Each building, the same basic rectangle squashed or stretched to fit the needs of the city, was saturated with sky blues, rosy reds, and verdant greens, like the city was a celebration of color. But the most amazing thing was all the boats. Just within the harbor, which was roughly as large as Konoha, she should get out more, there were more boats than she ever thought existed. They came in all shapes and sizes, sitting in the water with pure white sails hanging limply, like flat lazy clouds. Why are there so many boats? She looked back to Jiraiya, who gripped the rope so hard that his knuckles turned white. Yet his face was that of a man that looked ready to go to battle. We came at a good time, it's the Festival of Lights. What's that? Naruto asked, his smile widening when he met her eyes. She matched him, tooth for tooth. Damn it, boy, do I look like I know everything? Rin rolled her eyes. You're the one that said what it was. Besides, you're old, you're supposed to know stuff. Yay. Naruto laughed as much as he said. Bah. Jiraiya grunted, pulling hard on the rope. The sail groaned and they turned hard to the side, sending her tumbling into Naruto as they wiped between two large barges. I got you, Rin. Naruto held onto her shoulder until the ship grew steady. She nudged him with her elbow, a smile still on her face. Thanks, Naruto. Fine, it's basically a bunch of holidays rolled into one. There's the summer solstice, some religious celebration from the Temple of Six Paths, and a couple local customs that kind of all got rolled into one as the city grew and grew. Jiraiya let the rope go slack and the sail went slack. An open spot along the dock was waiting for them. Wasn't that someone else's spot though? Jiraiya looked like he knew what he was doing. I mostly know that it's a good time if you're here looking for beer and fun, or as a. Jiraiya paused, tossing some rope up onto the dock. He looked at her, then to Naruto, then back to her and nodded to himself. Bah, you two should light a lantern together and set it off, supposed to be considered good luck. When do they set the lanterns off? Rin looked around, seeing many of the paper lanterns in the hands of people. Some were plain and white, others ornate and a few extravagant. And they were most often in the hands of couples, old and young. And this isn't some attempt to get me and Naruto to do something romantic, is it? She felt her heart retch at that idea, like it was torn between the past, future, and present all at once. Fine, you got me. Jiraiya held up his hands and stepped off the boat wearing a smile that was just asking to be smacked. It started during a war, and a woman would light a lantern and set it to the currents every day until her husband came home. Legend says that it was on this day that the man came back and he was reunited with his love. So now releasing the lantern as a couple, or family, is a tradition to overcome the hardships. Or in some cases to find love, or wish those that have passed farewell. Now if you'll excuse me, I have to find someone that'll buy a boat and a good whorehouse. Find me tomorrow. With that, Jiraiya vanished into the crowd with only his perverted giggling marking his passing. Naruto climbed out of the boat, offering her a hand up as well. He was always doing that. Watching out for her, looking at her. It wasn't bad. It just reminded her of Obito. Probably because he was her friend, the same as Obito and Kakashi. And the two did have similar personality and dreams. But it was also different. How did she feel about Naruto? She took his hand and felt the difference between him and her teammates. With Obito, she thought of him like a brother, even now when he was still lost in the world. And at this point, Kakashi was more her weird uncle than he was her crush. Seeing him without his mask certainly didn't help anything. But for Naruto, it was just different, like he sat as this undefinable enigma. In many ways, she looked up to him. He was brave, confident, friendly, and a hard worker. It was like a perfect combination of Minato and Kushina. So, what do you want to do? Rin asked, feeling her legs wobble despite the solid ground beneath her. She had been on that boat for way too long, though in many ways she will miss sleeping under the stars with Naruto every night. We should go light a lantern. Rin gawked at him. He said that with a straight face, looking her right in the eyes while holding onto her hand. Did that mean that he liked her? Was that what all those not letting go of her hand meant? His eagerness talked to her. No, that couldn't be it. That was just what Naruto did. He was a friendly guy. That was it. Right. Did you hear what Jiraiya said? That's something that couples do. It's also for wanting someone important to you to come back, right? Naruto's smile came back for a moment only to die in a breath. She felt Naruto's hands slide free from her grip. Wait, she was the one holding onto him this whole time. It was, wasn't it? She even made him cuddle with her when there was lightning. She asked him to watch the stars with her. And Naruto was just a good friend hanging out with her. They'd only known each other for half a year now, and she spent the first one depressed, the second one depressed, and now here she was with a goal in mind because of him. No, there was no way that Naruto would have a crush on her. Right. I have Sasuke and you have Obito, we both need them to come back, right? So I think that we should set off a lantern for them. There was nothing but resolve in Naruto's eyes. No hidden motive, nothing. Just that same drive that she was begging to. What was she feeling towards him? Stupid emotions. Why were they so hard? Yeah, I'd like that a lot, Naruto. Awesome. Naruto grabbed her by the wrist, pulling her through the crowd of people, the wood bouncing like a drum with each step they took. There were so many people, the tide was coming in as more and more people rushed towards the sea to prep their lanterns. An hour remained, maybe less, until the sun was swallowed by the ocean. Where would they even get a lantern? Would a vendor sell them? A lot of them looked handmade. Did they even have money? Yo, Naruto. A voice broke through the crowd like thunder on a clear day. It was calm, tired, almost like it was a yawn. They exited most of the crowd, coming to stand on a dirt path in front of a warehouse. A boy with black hair tied into a short ponytail waved at them. To his side was a pretty blonde girl with blue eyes and an overweight boy with spiky orange hair. Behind them was a handsome and gruff-looking man wearing Junin equipment and a cigarette in his mouth. They all wore Konoha headbands. Shikamaru. Naruto let go of her wrist and barreled towards his friends, arms outstretched like he wanted to hug them, but stopped when he got near. Was she the only one he hugged? Choji. Ino. What are you guys doing here? Wait. Ino Shikacho. That would explain their looks. But why did the sensei look so familiar? We were on a mission, Naruto. The girl, Ino, said with her hands on her hips. Choji, the round one, nodded, munching on a bag of popcorn. Well, we were. Right now we're just enjoying the festival. Mission's not over, Choji. As soon as our client gets back, we'll be on duty again. Their sensei said, taking a drag from his cigarette. Those things were so bad for his health. And he was a Junin. He should really know better than that. And why did he look so familiar? Who was he? Ah, Asuma sensei. Ino whined, grabbing her sensei's jacket with all the drama expected of a teenage girl. Can't we just relax for a day or two? Wait a second. Asuma Sarutobi. She marched up to him. It was him. Wasn't it? And he was smoking. His mouth went slack and she yanked the cigarette from his mouth, stomping it under her foot. What the hell do you think you're doing? Do you have any idea how bad these things are for you? Holy shit. Asuma mouthed. Rin, are you a ghost? Apparently, Kakashi hadn't told him anything. Long story, asked Kakashi. Now explain why you're smoking. Sure, you're an adult now. But you should know better. These things will eventually kill you. She pointed towards the pile of ash under her foot. And they smell. Pissed. Naruto. She heard Ino say from behind her. Who's your girlfriend? Her righteous fire died in a heartbeat, replaced by a cold sweat that went down the back of her neck. Girlfriend. Her voice cracked. It's not like that. Honestly, it's just we're training together to control the beasts. Not that he isn't a good friend or anything, but we're not dating. Her face must have been red. She looked at Naruto and saw him look almost hurt. Shit, did he like her or something? No, that must just be her imagination. Beasts? Shikamaru asked, eyebrow raised. He looked at Naruto, then at her, and shrugged. Listen here, Rin. I'm not going to just ask Kakashi why you're alive. She felt a strong hand grab her shoulder. You're here, and I think I deserve an answer after you just crushed my last cigarette. As much as we'd love to stay and chat. Naruto slipped past Ino and Shikamaru, grabbing her by the wrist once again. We really need to find one of those lanterns to set off so we can bring Sasuke and Obito back. He could catch them. They were just genin after all, even if one was Rin. But what was that about Obito? Asuma sighed, scratching at his beard. He really needed to have a smoke right now. Shame that Rin was as health conscious as ever. Now he'd have to find someplace that sold his favorites in this city. Still, Obito's alive too. Asuma sighed. This felt way above his pay grade. Better bug Kakashi about this when I get back. Hey Asuma. Shikamaru looked up at him once Naruto was far away. What did she mean by beasts? Damn, boy was too clever for his own good sometimes. Beats me. Shikamaru didn't believe him at all. But probably wouldn't follow through. You'll just have to ask Naruto when you see him again, won't you? Troublesome. That it was. Ino huffed. No, really, who was that? She wore a leaf headband. Was she Naruto's girlfriend or something? Hey Shikamaru, if Tamari becomes your girlfriend, do you think she'll join the leaf? Shikamaru refused to comment, his face as ready for sleep as ever. I'll tell you who Rin is when we get back to Konoha. I need to talk to Kakashi about some things. He actually knew exactly what he was going to say. What the hell? She didn't have any idea whose roof they were on, but it was a beautiful spot overlooking the bay, that began to shine as the last rays of the sun began to pass beyond the horizon. There were so many people still running about, some joining them on the rooftops, others milling about the city like ants. Did you figure it out yet? Rin turned to see Naruto still holding the lantern they were given by a kind old lady, a reward for Naruto stopping to help her, like it was some kind of a puzzle box. It was intricate in design and pure white in color. No doubt it would shine like a star. Naruto nodded, pointing towards the wick. Yay, I think we just light this and then I don't know. He bounced it in his hand, watching it slowly fall. It's really light though, do we throw it? I don't think so, it looks delicate. Maybe we should wait and see what everyone else does. Rin looked over his shoulder looking at the small wick that sat at the bottom of the lantern. Maybe the fire will make it fly. Science wasn't exactly a course in the academy when she attended, even something like history was an afterthought and a crash course. And Naruto, well, he was Naruto, reliable yet very clueless. You sure? Wouldn't it just burn up or something? He scrunched his face up in the way that he did when he was confused about something. It was cute like a perplexed puppy. I don't think so, let's wait and see what everybody else does. It was going to be starting soon. Actually, shouldn't it be starting right now? The sun was already past the horizon, only the last echoes of its light remained. But nobody was lighting their lantern. What are they waiting for? Naruto shrugged, joining her in looking over the bay. The light continued to fade until the stars began to appear. There. Naruto pointed towards the dock. She saw it too. A lantern was lit, then one and another. The light spread like wildfire, snaking its way through the streets of the city. Soon the whole city was aglow with the soft light of thousands of lanterns. Naruto, quick. Light it. Okay. He fumbled with the lantern, trying to light it while not damaging it. She stepped forward holding the lantern for it, excitement washing over her and she couldn't help but bounce. Thanks. Now 1 second. Their lantern was lit, shining like a miniature sun in her hands. Can you feel it, Naruto? She could. It was their desires to bring back their friends. And something more. All around them the lanterns began to lift up into the sky, floating up and out towards the sea, forming a bridge of light to the heavens. Yay! She didn't believe him, but he nodded, placing his hands over hers as she held the lantern. Let's bring them back, okay? Together they released their lantern. It drifted slowly, almost falling back down into their hands before the wind took it, and it was off, joining the countless others as they made their journeys to deliver their hopes and dreams. It was beautiful in so many ways. Hey, Naruto. She couldn't take her eyes off of the lanterns. He hummed, stepping next to her, his eyes locked on her as their hands brushed against one another. I just want you to know that I'm really happy you saved me back then. And I'm really happy to call you friend. She turned to him, giving him the best smile she could give. With him by her side, it didn't matter what stood in their way, they could overcome it. It was weird how he had become so important to her when half a year ago he wasn't even born. Well, in her messed up timeline, even though he was actually her age. Just thinking about it made her head hurt. Naruto nodded, his smile unmatched. I'm happy you're here too, Rin. Yes. Those were her feelings, she was just happy to be around Naruto. Nothing more, nothing less. And the same for him. Besides, she was like 13 and that was a way too young to be thinking about love and stuff. Kakashi woke up in his apartment from the poor excuse of rest that people called sleep, on full alert. Something was off. His muscles were still sore from the hellish training Guy was putting him through, and the headache he got from straining his Sharingan was still there. Foot on the ground before he opened his eyes, Kakashi found his plain room to be as clean and vacant as always. A knock came from the window, sounding like thunder in the silence. Okay. He was no stranger to the middle of the night visits, but he was normally the one doing the visiting. More importantly, who the hell was at his window at 2 in the morning? If it was an emergency, the Anbu seal on his arm would be flaring, or his door would have been kicked in by an angry Hokage. Or a drunk one. Kakashi opened the window and found himself at a loss for words. Sitting on his windowsill staring out at the sky while he chewed on a fingernail was Itachi Uchiha. He did not wear his Akatsuki robe, nor did he have the ring or any other markings, save for the leaf headband that sat in his free hand. Hello? Kakashi asked, resting on his elbows. Where were the Anbu? Why was Itachi even here? Why wasn't Itachi trying to kill him? I thought you Akatsuki were taking a break. Or did Obito send you? Itachi shrugged and let out half of a laugh that lacked humor. He turned to him, Itachi's black eyes boring a hole into his soul. I need your help. Well, this was new. And why would I help you? Because I know where Obito is. That was actually a very valid point. And how to get to him. Alright, now what exactly do you of all people need help with? I won't betray Konoha. Kakashi crossed his arms, leaning against the window sill to meet Itachi's gaze, a move that normally would be suicide. I never wanted to betray Konoha either, never wanted to kill my family. But I did because that's what I thought was best. Was that remorse in his voice? Where was that when he murdered his entire clan? It's come to my attention just how much I've everything up. The man that promised me a world without war turned out to be nothing more than a child throwing a tantrum that someone died. The anger was real in his voice and Itachi shook. The only thing I don't regret is leaving Sasuke alive, everything else from Shisui's death has been a mistake. Itachi closed his eyes and let out a deep breath. You're the only person I can trust right now, as my Anbu instructor. He gripped the headband tighter. And as someone who has Konoha's best interest at heart, I need your help to set things right. Which is, kill Danzo, Orochimaru, bring Sasuke back and eliminate the Akatsuki. Danzo's loyal to Konoha. That's why he hoards power and has made so many underground deals that often damage Konoha in the long run. Itachi slipped from the window sill, now standing in Kakashi's bedroom. Everything about him was pleading. Itachi needed this more than anything. Alright, I'll hear you out. 2 years. It had been 2 years and it still felt like he hadn't made any progress. He could do the Rasengan with one hand, which was useful, and he could make a super big Rasengan. And he could control some of the Kyuubi's power. But it didn't feel like enough. If anything, it felt like Sasuke was further away than ever. Naruto growled, scratching his head furiously with both hands. Sure, Jiraiya was working him and Rin to the bone and he was doing a lot of cool stuff now, but it just didn't feel like it was enough. Especially if he wanted to get Sasuke back, impress Rin, and become Hokage. Maybe I should ask the pervy sage to teach me a new jutsu. He understood why Jiraiya was teaching him the way he was. Rin had explained it, and she seemed smart, but that didn't mean he was happy with it. Why can't I get a super cool and powerful jutsu like the fireball jutsu? A pair of hands wrapped around his eyes, blocking his view of the forest below them. Because you'd probably end up exploding. Rin's voice tore through his mind like a river in the desert and a smile twitched onto his lips. Oh, and guess who? Jiraiya. Naruto laughed, reaching around to pull Rin's away. He leaned back and saw her smiling down at him. Her brown eyes shone with happiness. In the almost 2 years he had known Rin, he had thought of her as a friend almost instantly. Now she was his biggest crush. It didn't help that she had gone from cute girl to, well, his definition of beautiful. Wait, no, you're way too pretty to be Jiraiya. She snorted, pulling away to sit down beside him. In some ways she had changed, they both had, in others, they were both the same. He had an inch or two on her now, and her hair was now past her shoulders. She still opted for the simple black robe, but without her white medic apron the outfit took on a whole different image. Like it was proclaiming that she was a woman. Or at the very least a teenager pretending to be an adult. Careful, Naruto, you wouldn't want me to think you're flirting with me now, would you? She pushed the hair out of her face, the lightest blush kissing her cheeks. Yes, it would be such a shame if she were to find out how exactly he felt about her. Love. The simple, terrifying kind that left him awake at night trying to gather the courage to tell her. There was no courage great enough in the world to conquer the fear of pushing her away. She was his most precious friend, he couldn't stand the thought of pushing her away. On the plus side, he could flirt with her easily enough. I'm Jiraiya's apprentice, I can't just see a beautiful girl and not say something. There was that blush and smile again, the one where she looked down and away from him, pushing her hair behind her ear and smiling like he just made her day. It was a smile that made his day and made him feel incredibly guilty. It was because a boy like him, had fallen in love with her, like he did, that there was so much suffering in the world. Sure, a lot of it might not have been directly because of Obito, but he was the leader of the Akatsuki, the crimes against him were many. All because of an obsession with Rin. It scared him that he could understand why. Well, Rin huffed, sitting straight once again. At least you have slightly more tact than our perverted sensei. Though to be honest, I'm surprised he's lasted this long. I don't think sobriety suits him. Yay. I'm kinda worried that when we get back to Konoha he's going to either throw himself at Granny or drink himself to death. Probably both if he thought about it. It's a good thing he gave us the day off so that he coughed, putting on his best Jiraiya impersonation. Let 2 years worth of inspiration out. I really hope that means he's just writing. Rin gave a nervous laugh, scratching the side of her cheek. Yay. Naruto looked back at the small hut shack cottage tool shed that Jiraiya was currently locked in. He wanted to be training, but at the same time, a day off with Rin. What should he say? Should he try touching her? Would he scare her off? Did she like him? Was he in that thing Jiraiya kept talking about? The friend zone. Was now even the right time? No, it wasn't. He needed to bring Sasuke back and help Rin bring back Obito before he could even consider letting her know how he felt. So, Rin leaned at him with her eyes sparkling. Have you made any progress with the Kyuubi? Since the last time you asked? Naruto smiled, shaking his head and letting out a breath he didn't know he was holding. Not really. He's impossible to talk to, and if we don't start shouting then he just ignores me or keeps trying to get me to let him out of the seal. I've tried everything. Begging, complimenting, trying to suck up to him because he's supposed to be prideful or something, but he just really hates me, I guess. Well, you can control four tails now, right? Rin nudged his arm, placing her hand really close to his own. That's more than I can control. You only have 3 tails. Her cheeser smile said one thing. She knew. Well, what about you? Have you gotten any luck with trying to heal with your mist? It was an idea they had a year ago when Jiraiya got really hurt. Rin was angry at herself that she couldn't even manage to treat the wound with chakra. Yep, she let the pea pop, holding up her fingers in the sign for victory. The fish no longer explode. I still think you should use the exploding mist as an attack or something. It doesn't work like that, she hummed, swaying like a tree in the wind. Besides, I'm a medic, my first duty is to make sure my teammates get out alive. Naruto nodded. Maybe when we get back to Konoha, Granny will be able to help you out with it. I hope so. I've always wanted to learn from Tsunade. Do you think she'll teach me her super strength if I ask her? Rin flexed her arm, showing off the toned muscle that came from the intense training they had both been through. While he had put on bulk, not a lot, she had a great deal of definition. But it still looked soft to the touch. If she says no, I'll set her straight by stealing her booze. Wait, Rin with super strength. She could hit hard enough as it was in their sparring sessions. But only if you promise not to hit me if I do something stupid. She laughed, flipping her hair back again. Why did she always do that? Didn't she know how cute she looked when she did that? It was almost unfair. Naruto, you have never given me a reason to hit you, and I don't think you'll start anytime soon. So don't worry, okay? Her hand fell on top of his, and his mind went into a free fall. What the hell was she doing? Rin kept her smile up at all costs. It was her last barrier against the coming storm of freaking the out that was welling inside of her. She had thought that her feelings for Naruto were simple. And they were until she saw him training shirtless 3 months 2 days and 18 hours ago, not that she was counting, when everything changed. It was like puberty had finally got up and punched her in the face, saying that she liked blonde hair and blue-eyed boys that were funny. Now she knew that she liked Naruto, and not just as the best friend and teammate way she used to for Kakashi and Obito kind of way. This was the boy she wanted to wake up to his smiling face every morning for the rest of her life, kind of like. And now as her hand touched his, such a small gesture was causing the hormones in her body to go wild, sending tingles up and down her spine that just felt so wonderful. Kushina had often said that falling in love just kind of happens. It was more than a physical attraction. It was Naruto, pure and simple. Every compliment he gave her made her heart flutter and mind go slightly numb at the thought. It was because of him that she was happy to be in this time. Now all she had to do was bottle these feelings up and take up drinking, and she'd be set for life as a world-famous medical ninja. So, Rin mumbled, running her finger across Naruto's vein. What was she going to say? Damn it. Why can't she just go back to pretending that she didn't have the hots for this dorky idiot? Wait. She came here for a reason. Well, several reasons. Do you know what you want to do for your birthday? Birthday. Naruto's face finally snapped out of whatever trance he was in. Wait, it's not. Wait, what day is it? October 10th. Rin stuck her tongue out. I know we've been busy training, but how on earth did you forget your own birthday? I'm still mad at you for not telling me about it last year. Well, I mean, my birthday just wasn't really important to me. She growled, leaning in to glare at him. He pushed away, but his hand remained pinned under hers. It's not like I had a lot to celebrate before, and well, yay. The thought of a cute little Naruto being alone and sad on his birthday while people mourned the deaths of the Kyuubi attack was enough to make Rin grind her teeth. Well, get used to it, because I'm going to make sure that you celebrate every one of your birthdays, even when you're old and wrinkly. I think that'll happen to you first, aren't you like 28 or something? Naruto laughed, leaning in to nudge her with his shoulder. And no, I'm not going to try and make up all those birthdays you skipped. Hey, she pouted, I'm technically younger than you if we count days lived. Why wasn't he moving his hand? Was he happy with it there? Damn it, this was worse than Kakashi 1,000 times worse. At least with Kakashi, she could admit that she liked him. But something about Naruto was holding her tongue. But, if he did like her, why didn't he say something? He had no problem telling her she was pretty and always spoke her mind. Say, Naruto, she swallowed, her throat going dry. Deep, even breaths. This was no more terrifying than when she first met Isabo. She squeezed that blue shell he had given her years ago. It was still in one piece, but numerous chips could be seen. He hummed, still looking at her. What's up, Rin? Well, what the hell was she doing? Is there anybody back in the Leaf Village that you had a crush on or anything? I mean, we're going to be going back there pretty soon, right? She knew the answer to this question. Naruto had a bunch of friends and he had a crush on Sakura, his teammate. He had told her about her for a bit. But that wasn't why she was a coward when it came to her feelings. If anything, Sakura was her motivation to say something before they arrived in Konoha. Well, I did have a crush on Sakura, but I'm not so sure anymore. Still, I'm really excited to see her again. Naruto beamed. I can't wait to see how strong she's gotten. Wait, why don't you have a crush on her anymore? Did you find someone else that you liked? And don't say it's about Sasuke, or try to lie to me. I know when you're lying, Naruto Uzumaki. Actually, she didn't. But he didn't need to know that. Well, not really. His face was red. He liked someone. But who did he like? I guess I kind of grew out of it. Oh, that made sense. Damn it. So is there someone else you like then? Her heart felt ready to break out of her chest at any moment now. Why didn't he like her? He keeps saying that she's pretty and looking at her when he thinks she's not looking. Not that she isn't doing the same. She was the only girl that had been in his life for the past 2 years for more than a few days. Her heart quickened, going faster and faster. The word hung there in there like a tantalizing fruit ready for her to jump at it. Then he swallowed. And pulled his hand away. What about you? Haha. What the hell kind of phrasing was that? Well, I mean, I haven't really been around anyone besides you. This was her chance. She should just let him know exactly how she felt. That she thought that he was cute and adorable. What on earth could possibly happen if she told him now? I mean, I did used to have a thing for Kakashi, but he's an old man now. But now, well, the words died in her throat. She missed the small warmth of his hand. Well, I don't really know. What the hell was she doing? Well, don't worry, when we get back to Konoha I'm sure there'll be someone you like. You used to like Kakashi, right? Naruto's smile told her all she needed to know. He wanted her to be happy. I know. I can introduce you to Shikamaru again. He's kind of like Kakashi, lazy, always tired and really smart. Pass. Her tastes had changed from brooding cool ninja to adorable blonde idiots. Shame she was going to be friend-zoned for the rest of her life. Or worse. Say, Naruto, what do you think of me? She couldn't bear to look him in the eyes. Instead, she stared off into the forest, clutching that blue shell he gave her. It felt warm and soothing. You, well, he stuttered. Well, I mean, you're one of my most precious people. So you're kind of like my family, I guess. She was family zoned. Naruto bit his tongue, turning away from Rin so that she couldn't see him blushing and mentally trying to kick himself. What the hell kind of answer was that? Why the hell couldn't he just tell her that he liked her? That he never wanted to be away from her? Why was this love stuff so complicated? Now she was going to think of him as a brother or something. It wasn't like he was her type anyway. She liked the cool, strong ninja. Not the goofballs. Damn it. Why did he have such an easy time asking Sakura out, but telling Rin that he liked her was the most terrifying thing ever? She wasn't even that scary. She'd probably just smile at him and politely turn him down. Or ignore it. Or things would be even more awkward between them now. He should just say it. He was going to say it. Right here. Right now. There was nothing to stop him. Here it goes. Oi. Brats. Jiraiya boomed from across the clearing. Already Naruto could smell the booze coming from his sensei's breath like low tide at an ocean of beer. Jiraiya half sauntered, half stumbled towards them with the kind of confidence that only someone completely plastered could muster. A large shit-eating grin was on his face and a stack of papers that was thicker than his hand was waved about like a victory flag. I finished my book, now let's get back to work. We have a lot of training to do. Or he could have the ruined moment by Jiraiya. But it's Naruto's birthday. Rin tried to protest for him. We were going to celebrate. Celebrate when you get to Konoha and can have some real fun. Jiraiya slapped his manuscript onto her lap with a smack. I didn't get to go boozing or whoring for my birthday, so you two don't get to skip out on yours. But if you really don't want to train, you can proof check that for me. You smell like the hangover is going to kill you. Rin covered her nose trying to push away from Jiraiya. How much beer did you drink? I have to piss like a racehorse, Jiraiya mumbled, turning his attention back to Naruto. Besides, Rin's a great medic, right Naruto? Yay. Naruto nodded, giving Rin a thumbs up, while he mouthed, run. He had more than his fair share of dealing with this kind of a Jiraiya than he cared to admit. His teacher wasn't just motivated. He was drunk and motivated. A terrifying combination where Jiraiya thought that he could accomplish anything, and might actually be able to. Rin took the not-so-subtle hint and fled. He could tell her about his feelings later. Hopefully. As she fled, she mouthed, thank you, still holding Jiraiya's manuscript. Now then, Jiraiya smiled, his arm around Naruto like he was a bar skank. Not that Jiraiya would ever try anything like that, or even want to. The man may be a sleazeball, but he was a sleazeball to other sleazeballs. About that jutsu of yours. Can we focus on the Kyuubi maybe? Jiraiya looked offended, proud, and nauseous all at once. Boy, what you think I'm talking about? I have no idea and I'm scared to find out. That was a lot of blood. How much of it was his? How much of it wasn't his? Probably an equal amount of both at this point. You should just leave me, Itachi groaned, looking up at Kakashi just like he used to in his Anbu days. Kakashi always had that cool-headedness that borderlined on emotionless. At least he had a reliable partner once again. I'm not going to make it without help, and if you take me to one of your ninja you'll be outed as a traitor. Kakashi shifted his weight and peered around one of the darkened alleyways that ran through Konoha like a spider's web. They had followed one of the root tunnels to this street. I'm not going to let you die, Itachi. Besides, I know someone we can trust. Once you're well and the Anbu finish their investigation, we'll clear your name. You put too much faith in Konoha. Danzo may be gone, he coughed, trying to keep his blood inside of his body. His illness had caught up to him at a horrible time and allowed one of Danzo's root a chance to strike. But his influence remains. And you have too little faith in our ninja. Kakashi pressed both of them against the wall and then walked out onto the street with all the brazen confidence of someone doing nothing wrong. Besides, I still need you to show me where Obito is. One target down, one remained. Danzo was slippery, taking far too long in order to plan what was essentially breaking into a hidden village inside of a village. Would have been quicker if you didn't insist on leaving them alive. Weren't you the one to suggest that? Was he? He might have been. Despite a lifetime of evidence to the contrary, he'd prefer if people didn't die. He looked around the area. Houses lined the roads, some had a shop on the first floor, others were just pure housing. The suburbs. Was there a ninja or doctor in this area that Kakashi trusted? Where are you taking me? An apprentice of Tsunade. Don't worry, we can trust her. Kakashi gave him a sloppy excuse of a smile. It was weird to see the man with his mask down, weirder to than 3 days worth of scruff that was growing on the man's face like an angry bush. She's my adorable student after all. They turned at one plain-looking house that was half covered in plants. Kakashi all but banging on the front door. A noise came from upstairs. Kakashi knocked again. A thud came from the inside and it sounded like an angry bear had been woken up. More banging and crashing until at long last the door slammed open, revealing a pink-haired girl on the cusp of womanhood. Her hair was flat to on side while the other was wild from sleep. She looked pissed. Her green eyes shined like jewels in the dull street lamp. What? She blinked, rubbing the sleep from her eyes. She looked at him, then towards Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, what are you doing here and why do you have? She gestured at him, something that could only be described as utter contempt. That monster here with you. Also put your mask back on, that beard is gross. Good morning, Sakura. Kakashi smiled. Sorry to show up unannounced, but I need you to trust me and Hitachi. He's an ally. More coughing. He heard them arguing. His vision was starting to fade, a blackness creeping in from all sides of his vision. He was rushed inside. A lovely family home. Something about being lucky and her parents not being home. And those green eyes of hers, staring at him with a defiant anger that would not be budged. They cleared the table for him by pushing everything to the ground, then laid him on it like a makeshift operating table. She stared at his hands glowing with green chakra. Then his world went black. Everything hurt. A lot. Clearly whatever medic psychotic enough to work on him last night hadn't been liberal with the painkillers. If anything, it felt like that pink-haired devil had gone out of her way to inflict as much damage as possible. Especially because he didn't remember having his stomach cut open, or having his face brutally beat by a mallet. Itachi opened his eyes to actually seeing, with clarity, where once everything had been dull and kind of gray. A ceiling fan turned slowly above him, blasting him with a cool breeze. The cords for the light and fan control swayed in small circles. And this was without the Sharingan. He hadn't seen this good since he first got his Sharingan. Oh, so you're awake. Her voice sent a chill down his spine like a spider was crawling along it, leaving a trail of poison. Despite the pain, he turned to see her. She leaned onto the island that separated the kitchen from the dining room, paying more attention to her coffee than she was him. It was almost refreshing. And a little bit intimidating. What did you do to me? His voice was dry and cracked. Her green eyes flicked to him and she shrugged, like having him a traitor of Konoha laying on her dining room table like it was an operating table was nothing more than an inconvenience. Spent about a few hours trying to keep you alive. She stirred her coffee and elbowed a plastic tub that sloshed with a thick red liquid. A large lump sat in the middle. Pulled that thing out of you, and did a couple tests and experiments on you. What organ is that? He almost didn't want to know, but if this mad doctor was holding one of his organs hostage, he should probably figure out how vital it was. She took a sip of her coffee, smiling into the scent of it. It was a tumor. It was wrapped around your stomach and your heart. Took about 8 hours to get it out of you. You're welcome, by the way. How old are you? Same age as Sasuke. She glared at him. It was the mad glare of someone fearless. It was the defiant glare of someone determined. Sakura, that was her name, took another sip of her drink. How are your eyes? Can you see? He tried to sit up, but the numbness in his arms and the pain of his stomach kept him down. You did this. Why? Like I said, an experiment. Sakura shrugged, walking over to him. her slender frame gliding across the floor with ease, but each step was firm and proud. By her pink tank top, that left her arms and shoulders exposed, and pink shorts, that left much of her long legs exposed, gave Itachi the impression that she really liked the color pink. Ironic given her hair. She placed the mug down and grabbed at his eye. There were few that dared to look him straight in the eye as she did. And none of them were sane. Now tell me, do you see any better? It was a bit unnerving having her so close to his face while he sat mildly powerless. If needed, he could do something about it. No, he was for better or worse trying to fix Konoha. Yes, as better as I ever did before. What did you do? Fuyumi Uchiha was a medical ninja during the First War, largely because she copied several healing jutsu from enemy ninja. It was thanks to her that Konoha even had a medical program in the first place. During her later years, she became obsessed with finding a cure for the ailment that plagued her people. She finally let go of his eye when it began to water. Sadly, she was killed before she could perform any of the operations. I studied her texts and managed to reverse engineer a few of them. Why, you're not an Uchiha. Still, the talent and drive she must have. There had to be some reason she went so far, unless you have a crush on Sasuke. For the first time, he caught her off guard and a blush spread across her face. That's not something you need to know. He's lucky to have someone like you. More blushing. Ah, he had forgotten the joy of teasing someone younger than himself. Don't think I did this from the kindness of my heart. Sasuke left the village to get strong enough to beat you. So as far as I'm concerned, you're just as guilty as Orochimaru for making him leave. Your medical bill is to bring Sasuke back to Konoha. Assuming I can trust you like Kakashi said. I will cause you no harm, besides I wish to bring my brother back to Konoha as well. He gave her what might have been his first smile in years. Her face was still red when she turned away. Yes, well, I believe it's time for you go get out of my house. My parents will be back soon, and in case you haven't noticed, I have a lot of cleaning up to do. And I should probably go get Kakashi so he can take you to whatever secret base you guys have. One of Orochimaru's old labs had been serving as his makeshift home for the past year. Hopefully, soon he'd be able to enjoy the sun and stop lurking in the shadows. Kakashi didn't wait. He did, but it would look kind of creepy if he stayed over here while my parents were out. Sakura shrugged into another sip of her coffee. I kicked him out a day or two ago. I'm sorry, did you say day? She nodded. How long have I been out? Like a week. That explained a lot. And I've been here on your table for the past week. No, I had you in the bathtub when I was taking out your tumor. Too much blood. She sighed into her drink like it was full of fond memories. I thought about using you as a punching bag, but killing a patient is something I'd rather avoid. I thank you for your hospitality. Itachi forced himself to sit up, bearing the pain. He gasped at the pain as he felt something give. Whoa, she rushed to his side. Don't move so fast, you're still healing, take things slow. Couldn't you use chakra to finish this? He asked through gritted teeth. Still, he pushed onwards, pressing his feet to the ground and feeling his legs tremble from a week of unused. What a sorry state for a shinobi. Her hand was glowing with chakra already, easing the pain in his stomach. I could, but some wounds are best healed on their own, especially with the surgery I did. What's best for you is daily sessions of chakra care followed. There was a knock on the door, followed immediately by said door flying across into the wall opposite, sending a storm of splinters up in the air when it shattered. As the dust settled and the sense of unease began to set in, Tsunade, the fifth Hokage of Konoha, stepped into the house, a smile that was anything but kind on her face, and in one hand defeated Kakashi being dragged along the ground like a child's blanket. Sakura. Tsunade's voice cracked like a whip and the girl jumped. Would you care to explain why your sensei committed treason by killing Danzo? Or perhaps your willingness to one of Konoha's biggest traitors? I'd ask you why you decided to skip training, but I believe that's painfully obvious at this point. The word seemed almost foreign coming from Sakura's mouth. But Itachi had to agree. The bridge that spanned the Yokomoto River was little more than a pair of ropes and a couple of sticks. The river below was deep this close to its source, but so was it narrow, barely more than 20 feet at its widest. She could easily jump it if she wanted to, but on the other side of that bridge was the land of fire. Home. The thought of finally seeing her home and how much it had changed in 15, she supposed it had been 15 years since she'd last been into the village, filled her with equal parts excitement and nervousness. It was going to be strange seeing Minato's face on the mountain, stranger still to see Tsunade's. Rin. Naruto shouted from the other side of the bridge, he crossed it like it was nothing. Which it really wasn't. Come on. We're almost there. Hard to think that one day she would be seeing his face up on that mountain too. Still, she looked forward to that day. With a smile that would not fade, she walked onto the bridge, feeling it sway under her weight. There were other ways to enter the land of fire, larger, more impressive bridges, or a few decorative grates, and a few that were little more than a signpost on the road. They had chosen this one because it was there. Hang on, Naruto, we still have a few weeks before we get back to Konoha. And a hell of a lot of training, Jiraiya grumbled. Sobriety had done wonders for the man. At first. But it was fast becoming apparent that he needed to be perverted in the same way that she needed to breathe. Still, her teacher was a man of his word and rarely took a break from training them. It was impressive, really. Shouldn't you be jumping with joy at being so close? Naruto asked, hands behind his head like he was leaning against an invisible tree. You'll finally be able to do all that stuff you said you wouldn't. Jiraiya kept his jaw straight and eyes focused. I'm not quite ready to drink and whore myself to an early grave brat, but rest assured once I get to Konoha I won't step out sleep until I have drunk at every bar and flirted with every beautiful woman that calls Konoha home. You should not welcome my return, you should fear it. Rin. Naruto turned to her, pointing towards Jiraiya. He's doing that thing again where he acts like he's writing a story. Leave him be, Naruto. Her foot fell onto the land and she was greeted with a small sense of home. The land of fire had that kind of magic to it. The sun felt just a bit brighter, the forest more lively, the leaves a bit greener. But I'm excited to get back to Konoha, why can't you train us there? In theory, by the time we get to Konoha the Akatsuki will be moving again, and I will be busy keeping track of them. It also gives you 6 months to try and find Sasuke before Orochimaru steals his body. She had forgotten about that little detail. Jiraiya shrugged, motioning them forward. Besides, I made a deal with Kakashi to hand Naruto back over, and there's not a lot I can teach you, Rin, maybe Tsunade. I've always wanted to train under Tsunade. Rin smiled at her early dreams of becoming a great medical ninja like Tsunade. Though that was a long-gone dream given her current abilities. She channeled a ball of mist into her hand as easy as a breath. A swirling mass of green and blue that was like looking up at the sky through a windy forest. But there's still a lot I need to figure out on my own. Like how to make fish not explode. Naruto offered helpfully. Rin pouted, her cheeks red, throwing the ball of mist at his head. It was a harmless gesture that would only make Naruto's face slightly damp. Hey, they haven't exploded in a week, I'm just using too much chakra. Too much chakra. Before she met Naruto she would have laughed at the idea of her having too much chakra. It was always the opposite. Now with Isobu's chakra bolstering her own, there was always a surplus. If she asked for a drop she'd get a river. Still, she was close, she will be able to heal again. They continued along the road basking in the warmth of the sun. The trees here weren't as large as they were in Konoha, but already they seemed much larger than the trees she had been seeing moments ago. The forest floor was thick with foliage and dark, a fortress of darkness fighting a losing battle against the sun until night came. So where are we going now? Mount Kyoshi, Jiraiya mumbled, biting into a ration. The volcano. Why are we going to the volcano? I want to torture you two by having you dodge blobs of lava. Jiraiya's face grew dark and he gave a hollow chuckle that only the truly depraved could muster. A spot of wisdom overcame her and she hopped beside Naruto. I think Jiraiya is going a little crazy. Naruto nodded in agreement. So, are you excited to see Konoha again? I'm a little nervous. She gave him a weak laugh, taking the chance to stand just a little bit closer to him. Her voice little more than a whisper on the wind. I'm just worried about how everyone will react to me being alive. They'll be happy. Remember, we met Asuma, so even if Kakashi-sensei was lazy, word still would get around. Probably. Naruto half whispered in reply, leaning in just as close as she was. But why are we whispering? Because she liked being close to him. 'Cause it's fun. But I'm kind of worried what I'm going to do when I get back to Konoha. What do you mean? You're going to be a ninja? Naruto beamed at her even as he tried to blow out her eardrums. No, I meant what I'm going to do about a place to stay. I thought about staying with Kakashi, but I don't think that's a good idea. Mostly because Kakashi was now a grown man that seemed slightly less emotionally stable than the boy she had a crush on all those years ago. Besides, it would be way too awkward. Oh hey, I know. Naruto stretched his arms out to both sides like he just had a fantastic idea. Why don't you stay with me? I have my own apartment, you can have the bed and I can have the couch. It'll be just like now. Apparently, it was possible to both want something and be scared shitless of it. Sure, she had technically been living with Naruto for more than 2 years now, but that was no different than being on a mission. And Jiraiya was here. Living in a home, alone with Naruto was far too domestic. Worse, what did it mean that he offered that so easily to her? Maybe he really did think of her as a sister. I wouldn't want to impose. Oh come on, it'll be fun. Just think about it. Naruto grabbed her hand and looked at her with sparkling eyes. His cheeks were really red. Besides, it'd make me happy. It was so easy to picture her and Naruto watching a movie on his couch, him putting an arm around her trying to act cool before she leaned into his chest, getting nice and comfy to watch the movie. Then as the movie went on they would slowly fall asleep, she'd be curled up into him and he'd either start snoring or take her to her bed, where he would steal a soft kiss on her cheek. Okay, so reading Jiraiya's manuscript apparently wasn't as harmless as she thought. Still, the thought of her and Naruto cooking something, laughing and playing only to stop suddenly when he wiped something from her cheek was a pleasant thought. I'll think about it, okay. Her cheeks must have been beyond red. Why couldn't she just tell him how she felt? The best way to get out of being seen as a sister is to do something that a sister wouldn't do. Right, maybe she should just kiss him. That almost seemed easier than admitting anything. Even if they were nowhere near that level. Actually, Rin. He swallowed, unable to meet her gaze as he finally let go of her hand. I wanted to tell you something. You see, the thing is that I found you. She knew that voice like the back of her hand. Obito appeared right in front of her, that orange mask of his affixed to his face. He grabbed hold of her hand and pulled her towards him. Naruto. She reached for him. What was happening? Why was Obito here? Now. Naruto reached for her, their fingers touching even as she was sucked in after Obito. Rin. It happened so fast. One moment she was with Naruto and Jiraiya, the next she was inside a gray world filled with blocks. She stared at her hand. What did Naruto want to say? Why did he let go of her hand? Why didn't she hold on to him? Take me back. It's okay, Rin. She heard Obito say from behind her, ignoring her. We can be here together from now on. Just me and you, we can ignore them while we're in here. I can't believe I didn't try this sooner. She turned to look at him. He was crazed, his Sharingan focused on her like a hawk. She wanted to find him. But no, like this. Obito, she stood to glare at him. Take me back. Stop this. Come back to us in Konoha. Don't worry, Rin. His Sharingan began to spin. The fight and energy left her and the world grew dark. I'll be sure to keep you safe and happy. So just sleep for a bit. Just sleep. You're safe now. I love you. Naruto finished staring at the spot where Rin just was. How could he just let her get taken like that? He had just been touching her seconds ago. Why now? Everything was going so good. He was finally going to tell her how he felt. What to do? What to do? He looked around frantically. Jiraiya also on high alert. They needed help. They needed Kakashi. Konoha was that way. Brat, where are you going? Jiraiya called, chasing after him like a tail. He could feel the Kyuubi's chakra leaking out, making every step count for 10. Konoha. The growing pile of evidence on her desk was just adding to her ever-growing headache. No amount of booze could make it go away. If anything, drinking only made it worse, because then that logical part of her mind that was angry was the first part to drown, and she was almost happy for what they did. It would have been easy enough to pin the whole thing on Itachi, saying that Kakashi had followed him and watched him kill Danzo, and then that way she wouldn't have to deal with one of her ninja acting as judge, jury, and executioner of one of the core members of Konoha. She almost did that had it not been for Kakashi claiming that he was the one to kill Danzo. Now her apprentice Sakura was in trouble for a long list of crimes that was actually impressive: harboring a criminal, healing a criminal, aiding in a coup, illegal experimentations on a protected bloodline. Her notes on what she did to Itachi were a clear sign that her student had outgrown her teachings. A lot of it was very impressive. And now there was a growing pile of evidence on her desk that was directed towards how messed up Danzo's practices were. Abducting children, backdoor deals, and plots to unbalance foreign powers, orchestrating the Uchiha massacre. Itachi vouched for that, and that was just scratching the surface. At this point, she wouldn't be surprised to find that he was poisoning their water supply. It was enough for a death penalty. But that didn't mean her ninja could just go out and do vigilante stuff behind her back. They were an organized military force. She needed a drink. One that would kill her. Tsunade groaned, slamming her head into the desk, thankful that it was made by her grandfather and wouldn't break easily. Why me? It's okay, Lady Tsunade. Shizune rubbed a small circle into her back. Taunton gave a concerned oink. I'm sure it's not as bad as it seems. You're right, it's worse. Tsunade groaned. One more headache and she was going to scream and punch the nearest non-Shizune person into orbit. Actually, where was Jiraiya? She blamed all of this on him. It was his damn fault that she was even the Hokage. And that damn brat Naruto. Why'd she agree to this job? She should quit and make someone else the Hokage. Kakashi. Guy. Wait. No, Itachi was claiming to be loyal to Konoha, now he could be Hokage. Everybody wins, well, mostly her, because she stops playing. Granny. The noise sounded from outside like a strong gust of wind. A moment later, the glass of her window shattered and in came a taller version of the annoying brat that she wanted to punch. Granny. I need your help. Where's Kakashi-sensei? Oh, Naruto, she droned, embracing the most recent headache. You're early, please come into my office and tell me about your training trip. It's Rin. Obito captured her during the training trip and I need Kakashi-sensei's help to find him. Naruto was frantic, leaves stuck to his tattered clothing. Please, I have to find her. Where's Kakashi-sensei? Wait, who's Rin? And Obito? I don't have time for that. Naruto, Tsunade growled, if you want my help you will explain to me exactly what happened. Rin is Kakashi and Obito's teammate from the past. Somehow she was sent to the future. She has the three-tailed beast inside of her. She also used to be a medical ninja. And why didn't Kakashi or Guy explain any of this to you? Naruto was panting now, a crazed look in his eyes. He was desperate and crazed. They had, but she might have forgotten given the mountain of paperwork that was building up because of Kakashi. So, here's the thing, Kakashi is in jail with Itachi and Sakura. Naruto blinked, making a face like he had just eaten a sour. Granny, this is no time to joke around, we need to get Rin back. I'm not joking, brat. What the hell did they do? How long have we been here? Itachi asked, his voice unmistakable as it traveled upward through the prison corridor beneath the Hokage Tower. It was a cold, dark place, with the entrance hidden behind scroll rack. Naruto was glad that he never found this place as a kid. It was depressing and probably overflowing with ghosts of dead prisoners. Not that he was afraid of ghosts. Long enough for me to get tired of you asking that question, Kakashi replied. You know this is all your fault, right? Mine. You're the one that left blood everywhere. I hate both of you so much. Sakura's voice was as cold as ice. Now shut up, I think someone is coming. Hopefully to let me out of here. Oh, don't be like that, Sakura. Consider this a team building exercise. You can pretend Itachi is a more agreeable version of Sasuke and look even Naruto's here. Naruto looked at all three of them, blindfolded and restrained on both their hands and feet. Itachi made sense, it was a good look for the man that Sasuke wanted to kill. But Kakashi and Sakura just looked so out of place in a prison cell. How do you know it was me? Wait, Naruto's here. Sakura pulled the chains to try and turn his direction. Lady Tsunade, why'd you let Naruto see me like this? Kakashi shrugged, his chains rattling. I smelled the ramen, now where's Rin? I bet she laughing about this, isn't she? Rin got captured by Obito. There was so much more he wanted to say, so much more he needed to say. Both to Rin and Kakashi. Kakashi had trusted him with Rin, told him to take care of her, and yet. Well then, Kakashi leaned back, turning to look right at Naruto despite his blindfold. Are we doing a prison break or has Tsunade come to her senses? Your Hokage. Tsunade stepped in from behind him, placing a hand on his shoulder, and offered him a smile despite her face being a mask of rage. Has decided that retrieving Rin is more important than keeping you two locked up. Are you pointing, Master? Sakura asked. She's not pointing at anyone. Sorry, Sakura. Naruto shrugged. Oh, Sakura deflated. Can I help? I'd rather not be stuck in here. I was going to send you on the mission as a support, Sakura. Tsunade let her hand drop from Naruto's shoulder and glared at Itachi and Kakashi. After you two complete the mission, one of you is going to be a Hokage candidate and the other is going to die. Is she serious? Itachi asked, looking in the general direction of Kakashi. I'm not good at sarcasm. I'm still trying to figure out if she was talking to us. Tsunade placed a hand over her face. I'm so going to retire by the end of the year, so help me. It's almost painful how well you two get along. A leaf headband, pristine, new, unblemished by his past, rested in his hand. It felt heavy, like it was made of lead. He looked towards his teammates. It felt good to think of people as that once again. Kakashi gave him a nod, urging him to put the headband on. Sakura stood next to him in her shinobi attire, her face indifferent. Naruto was frowning, but he did not protest. Jiraiya stood next to Tsunade, who had a deep scowl on her face. Are you sure about this? Itachi bounced the headband in his hand once more. After all, I've done. Your crimes are not pardoned nor forgiven. Tsunade's voice was closer to the growl of a depraved animal than that of a woman. But so long as you are doing a mission in the name of Konoha, you will wear that headband. Do I make myself clear? Yes, ma'am. He bowed, that sense of duty he had in Anbu making itself known once again. Purpose born anew flooded through him as he placed the forehead protector on. Tsunade cracked her knuckles, leaning forward onto her desk with the same menacing stare her sensei had once given him. She considered him her subordinate. I have been examining the evidence against Danzo, and I have found enough to give your claim a small amount of validity. You may consider this mission as the first step on a very long path towards some small form of redemption. Thank you, Lord Hokage. He bowed. Come on, let's go. We need to go save Rin before Obito does something to her. Naruto all but shouted. His voice was like the calm before a storm. On a mission that would be detrimental, but leaving him behind would cause more problems given his track record. And making that suggestion would not be wise given the other members. This was his brother's team, was it not? Some substitute he was. I doubt Obito would do anything to Rin. And finding him is relatively easy. All we need to do is. Something was wrong. He tried to activate his Sharingan, but he couldn't. He tried again, still nothing. He rubbed his eyes in a desperate attempt to coax his Sharingan out. Still nothing. He turned towards Sakura, who raised an uncaring eyebrow at him. Is there a reason why I can't activate my Sharingan? Sakura blinked and blushed. The sharpness of her gaze vanished when she looked down towards her feet. Oh, did I forget to mention that you might not have access to your Sharingan for a while? How long is a while? On the one hand, she did save his life and cure his blindness. On the other, she was the best worst doctor he had ever known. A couple of months maybe. She shrugged, giving him a weak laugh. I honestly thought it was a bit of a bonus that way you couldn't use it against us. Sorry. I would have done the same thing. Itachi groaned, looking towards Kakashi. It looks like it's up to you. Come again? Kakashi asked. Obito's Sharingan allows him to freely enter his own realm. I was able to enter it a few times by finding a location where he used that ability and prying it open with my Sharingan, but because that's no longer an option, we'll just have to use Kakashi's. His voice was monotone and he put on that mask of indifference he had grown accustomed to wearing. If I'm not mistaken, it is Obito's other Sharingan. And you have the Mangekyo Sharingan, correct? And why didn't you share that information with me earlier? Kakashi pressed, his impassive face and tone betraying his frustration. Itachi gave him a nod. We have yet to fulfill our deal, but the situation has changed now. How so? We still need to get Sasuke back and deal with Orochimaru. You got captured and blew our cover. Enough bickering, ladies. Tsunade clapped her hands. Now then, you four get out of my office one way or another. He had to keep her safe. That was all that mattered. It didn't matter how much she hated him. As long as she was with him and safe, then everything would be fine. And here, where no one but him could reach her, she was safe. It's okay, Rin. She looked so peaceful when she slept, her beauty unequaled when she couldn't ask him to set her go, to turn back to that world he had sought to destroy. He stroked her cheek, cooing at the softness. I'll find us a new world. One without war, without all these cursed little ninja. It'll just take time, okay? So just sleep until I can take us where no one will ever be able to find us. And we can live a new life. Opening a portal to a new world was a simple but time-consuming task that took a great deal of his strength. But finding a world that was more than a barren wasteland or fiery hellscape was the real challenge. A week of trying and he had come up with nothing but a land where the fires lived and breathed as humans in a world where the stars fell as rain. Pretty and interesting, but unlivable. Just a temporary refuge would do, one with life and planets. Then he could find a new world with humans, or something close. Rin liked humans. It would be a nice birthday present. A world unblemished by hate and war. A world without ninja. I need to get back to work now. He dragged a finger along her lips, smiling at the softness of her untainted beauty. She'd never let him touch her like this if she was awake. He knew that. He knew it all too well. But he didn't care. Don't cry, I'll be back soon. Then they would be safe. And no one would be able to find them.